This is food. This is beans.
So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Simon Dennisidi. It has come.
Indeed.
We have watched it, and we are about to spoil the shit out of it.
Yes. Yes, indeed, Adrian Pinter. Yes, indeed. We will move through this a closer look and spoil as much as possible because this is a spoiler cast episode of Split Focus, a Film and TV podcast, and I'm not afraid to spoil it here. So if you're in the wrong place for some reason and you actually wanted to listen to episode 97 of our series, of our podcast series, you should probably go listen to that now because we're about to spoil Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
Definitely. And we did a kind of pretty deep spoiler-free review on episode 97 of Split Focus, Film and TV podcast. And this one is going to be, kind of a review, but we're really just going to talk about specific events that happen in this movie and kind of talk about why, I guess, almost a little bit more deeper as to why we didn't like specific aspects of this film or liked specific aspects of this film. But again, if you want a spoiler-free review, listen to episode 97 of Split Focus, of Film and TV podcast and get out of here.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Adrian, to get right into it, I like this movie, as I said on that episode. I thought it was good.
I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah, and enjoyable. It was fun to watch. I like Sam Raimi's directing style. But there's some kind of disconnect here. And I wonder, there was extensive reshoots on this movie, and I wonder if that's kind of leached into, or it affected it negatively. I wonder if they had something different on their hands and they changed it. I think this movie, as I said on our review on 97, that it should have been longer. And it doesn't make sense that it was the length that it is. And the reason why I believe it should have been longer, and this is the key element, and I'm wondering if you agree, this is the problem with this movie quintessentially, in my opinion. Wanda Maximoff was completely committed in injustice.
I agree.
As a character. She was abused as a character, and I have no idea why. It makes no sense to me. Coming out of WandaVision, she was potentially on the road to redemption. She could have gone both ways. I don't agree that this is she's just a crazy person who's arguably the most gruesome, brutal villain we've ever seen in the MCU since the MCU has dawned.
Dude, by far.
She's more brutal than Loki. She's more brutal than Thanos. She's killing literal heroes who are actually great, good people and innocent civilians left, right, and center. And I looked at that and I was very, very utterly confused to the point where I just couldn't understand it. Elizabeth Olsen does a great job, by the way.
100%.
But I just don't understand what they're doing in that regard. Now, I'll let you speak. Sorry.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I think, if coming off WandaVision, they do have the scene where she has the book, the Darkhold or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And, it's like an after credit scene and she's reading it, right? But for someone that doesn't understand the full context of what that book is and what that book does, I would 100% agree with you. Yeah, at the end of WandaVision, I'm like, oh, she realized she made a huge mistake by putting this, town under control and is learning from it. And, she people just let her go. And I thought that ending was kind of weird. And I'm like, okay, people are just cool with it. But it's what are they going to do? She's one of the world's universe's most powerful people. And then this movie, it's just what she did there, she doesn't give a fuck. She's actually going to go way more brutal, way more dark, and actually just kill innocent people for a incredibly selfish reason. And it's genuinely shocking. And I do agree with you. I think it does this movie and her character in particular a disservice. Although it makes for some really cool and legitimately jaw-dropping scenes, it's shocking. They do... Actually, I don't want to spoil Game of Thrones, but they essentially do something similar. It just felt rushed with another character in that show. Although I still like that show, but they do that with this, where it's just it's a flip of a switch, man. She is now literally, she's one of the most brutal villains, and her reasoning is an incredibly selfish and I guess simple reason, but it threw me for a loop, man. And again, you just hit the ground running. And I think that is kind of what my issue was with the movie in terms of pacing, especially in that first act, because you get to her and she's like, hey, I'm doing tricks here on like Doctor Strange, like, no, I'm gonna fucking kill America Chavez so I get this power to like travel through multiverses and then have a kid or have my kids.
Yeah, she's gonna kill a child.
Yeah, like a literal kid, so she can hang out with kids. And on top of that, she is more than willing to kill multiple people, kill different versions of her friends from different universes, and also kill her friends from this universe. And it's very just shocking and not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, it's strange. Like, I guess we can kind of segue into the concept of the Illuminati, which I thought was a really cool part of the movie. I thought that Xavier, like being in the movie, like Professor Xavier was really cool, played by Patrick Stewart, was amazing. Seeing Lashana Lynch reprise her role, but she, like her character had become, as Maria Rambeau, she'd become Captain Marvel, which is really neat. I thought Anson Mount reprising his role from freaking Inhumans.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Was so wild, and it was really cool that they did that, considering how badly reviewed that series is. But I thought that they did that very well, and he was a really cool character. And I like Anson Mount as an actor. I love him in Hell on Wheels, so I thought that that was really fantastic. Haley Atwell playing, of course, Captain Carter, which was really cool, and she had a really cool costume, to be honest. She looked awesome. And Chiwetel Ejiofor, of course, playing Mordo, and he did a great job there too. But I thought that John Krasinski was probably the most shocking,
definitely,
of the reveals.
Yeah, John Krasinski is Reed Richards now, canonically.
No, in that universe. We don't know if he's going to be Reed Richards in our universe. That may not happen. Probably will, hopefully, depending on how it's received, I guess. But it was cool. He's the smartest man alive or whatever. That's a neat thing. And I just want to talk about, just go right into that concept. She destroyed them in a way that's like very reminiscent of a certain show that we've talked about on this this podcast series that we both really like. It's a certain animated series specifically. And that there's a specific scene in this series. Again, I'm not going to say specifics so that I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty shocking. And this is pretty shocking. Like, she wrecks them up. She turns freaking Reed Richards into wacky inflatable tube man. Yeah. Like a cheese strings, and just basically just rips him apart. Dude, she completely destroyed Black Bolt, played by Anson Mount.
Dude, that was, like that is one of the most shocking scenes in the movie, where I'm like, what the fuck? Where Black Bolt's superpower is that his voice, even a whisper, can just fucking destroy anyone. Like, literally just like atomize someone, which is shown in this movie, actually. And she just seals his mouth shut, and it blows his brains out. And I was like, what the fuck? When that happened,
like, this is a Marvel movie.
Yeah, like when that happened, I was literally like in shock. Like, my jaw like fell to the ground. And I was like, holy shit. So I was like, this is where they're going. Like, they're not going to hold back. And then again, proceeds to... The craziest part about John Krasinski's Reed Richards character is, he's trying to sympathize with Wanda, saying like, hey, I have kids at home. Like, I know what you're going through. Yeah. And she's like, do you have a wife? And he's like, yeah, I have a wife at home. And she's like, all right, cool. Your kids won't be like without a parent then. And then proceeds to turn him into fucking confetti. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like,
it's
what
unbelievable.
the fuck, dude? I was like, I was
so messed up.
Yeah.
But I like that aspect. I'm actually okay with it. I'm cool with it.
Me too.
That's not the issue. Is that why is she doing this? And the answer to the question is the Darkhold. But they don't give any context on the Darkhold, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest weird problem. Like, why don't they give more context? It's like they cut parts of the movie out where they explain what the Darkhold has and what it can do to a person's mind. They like don't take themselves seriously enough to the point where it's just like, again, it makes almost light of stuff that's happened in the MCU before. Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, especially in WandaVision, considering how emotional that series can be, it's one of the best things about that series, honestly, is Elizabeth Olsen's performance, in which she was nominated for an Emmy for, because she's so emotional and she's so attached to her grief. The craziest thing, Adrian, we watched Moon Knight, we watched this. They're both about mentally, like, individuals who have mental health issues.
Yeah.
She's got serious mental health issues. And quite frankly, her team abandoned her. And it actually makes me kind of sad. I don't understand this. Why didn't anyone check up on her? They knew about Westview. Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange knew about Westview and he didn't go there and just check up on her until he needed something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the shit? It bothers me, actually. No one tried to help her. And it's so weird. I can't even understand it. It makes me sad for her because she was alone completely in this world. Her love, like, of her life had been killed.
Her kids that she manifested have been killed. Her brother had been like killed. She's arguably the most tragic character in the MCU. She lost everything and every single person closest to her.
Yeah, it's a tragedy.
But even with that context, it's still shocking that she goes this far, which is kind of weird to say because when you're laying it all out there, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like too crazy that she would do this.
Well, it's the Darkhold. Yeah. But my issue with it is that why did it ever have to come to this? Why did these heroes, these superheroes in quotations, not show up to try to help her? It just seems a little strange. And like, I just thought she was on the road to redemption after Westview. Like, that seemed like it was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand that even the concept of like how important, honestly, WandaVision is as a series for this movie I can't believe it. It's actually quite interesting because we've talked about this before on our podcast. We've thought maybe the shows are meaningless, and we actually called WandaVision meaningless, like the plot line is meaningless, because we thought it didn't go anywhere. In the end, it kind of just left her at square one, but it like where she was after Endgame. But it's not true. That show is incredibly consequential to the MCU. I don't think WandaVision became a better show because the problem is it's red herrings or a disaster. Like, there's just red herring after red herring of things that just don't lead to anything. But
pay off, yeah.
But at the same time, it's funny how interestingly consequential that is. In just the scene at the very end, the end credit scene of that movie, the unexplained, honestly, end credit scene of that at the end of WandaVision, I should say, is incredibly like subtle and so important. And it's like, what? Come on, guys. Like, do a little better job of explaining what you're even doing. Like, I know Kenneth Saddlebauer understood what that scene was because he's a huge comics fan, and that's fine. And I watched friggin' Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I understand how devastating the Darkhold is, but I just don't think that you explained it enough to explain why one of the Earth's mightiest heroes became the literal worst, most brutal, gross villain that there has been so far.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest issue, and I don't know. It's hard to look past, is what I would say. It just makes me feel sad that then she dies, theoretically.
Yeah, which I think is, again, like, if that's literally how she goes out, I'm going to be confused and kind of like sad about it. Because she just collapses a building onto herself. Like, well, not really a building, I guess, like a literal mountain. But she just kills herself. Like, that's it. Like, she literally commits suicide, which is fucked.
Yeah, the self-sacrifice is just it's tragic. It's like, it's funny because the movie, the whole movie is about rescuing America Chavez, which is cool, but the movie really should have been about saving Wanda. And that's the weird thing about it is I feel like that it's when you have a director come in that doesn't understand the MCU, like Sam Raimi, I would argue doesn't. I think that's the biggest hurdle. As a producer, like Kevin Feige should have probably come in and said, you know what, like, this is actually not good. Like, I mean, we have had this character, we've watched this character for like, I don't even know, 17 hours?
Since Age of Ultron, man.
Like, it's a lot, right? 9 hours of a TV series, and then add another like 4 movies, like 5, 6 movies, 7 movies. I don't even know. There's a lot of movies. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have to wonder, like, why did no one come in and say, you know what? Like, this is not only about saving America Chavez, it's also about saving Wanda. There's no funeral for Wanda. No one even cared at the end. The movie's just over and she's just dead. And it's like, okay, cool. So this character that literally saved the world and saved quite a few of you, including saving Hawkeye as an example in Age of Ultron. And she saved the day in some aspects. She's arguably the most powerful Avenger. And in Infinity War, she was completely badass, and in Endgame she's completely badass, and like, she is saving the entire Earth, and she helps to bring back 50% of the world's the universe's population. So you have to wonder, like, where did they go wrong? And the answer is that it seems like no one with oversight, like Kevin Feige, stepped in and said, you know what, actually, she's a really important character. Maybe we shouldn't just completely shit on her.
Mm-hmm.
maybe she's not like the Darkhold takes hold of your mind, but how do you get out of that? And that's the question I think that no one even answered. No one answered, and no one really asked. And so Wong is like a really learned member of this Avengers, this new whatever team of superheroes, and he never really states at any point what the Darkhold is capable of or what it can do. He just says, similar to the plot of Destiny, the video game Destiny, it's like the darkness. It's very dangerous. Like, that's cool, man. What has it done to other people?
Yeah.
What's an example of what it can do? How does it affect you? Why shouldn't Doctor Strange use it literally at the end of the movie? That's a really bad move. I was like, why would he do this? This is why Wanda's crazy and is literally destroying everyone. You think Wanda would have just done this on her own?
Yeah.
And then by the fact that he uses it and saves the day makes me even more kind of frustrated, because it's like, well, how did he resist it? Wanda's pretty cool. Why is she the one who ends up being the villain after all this, when in reality he could have just been as corrupted as she is?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, she even calls him a hypocrite when he starts using it. And
yeah,
it's
true.
And the way the movie ends is kind of confusing, because with, like, not to jump to the end of the movie, but literally the movie ends, Doctor Strange's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then he like drops to his knees and screams in pain as his third eye opens on his forehead. And it's like, oh, I guess he is being evil. And then they have an after credits scene where they introduce a character. I forget her name. Ken mentioned her. It's Dormammu's, I think, niece or daughter.
His daughter.
Played by Charlize Theron.
Which is cool. Charlize Theron is in the MCU.
Yeah. God, sorry. Let me just find the name of that character. Clea. The character's name's Clea.
Cool.
But yeah, we don't know if Doctor Strange is like becoming evil or anything, because he drops his knees in pain, his third eye opens. Then there's an after credit scene where Clea, like, he's just walking totally fine again, and it's like, what? And then this character shows up who's played by Charlize Theron, Clea, which is Dormammu's, I think, niece or daughter, I don't remember. And it's just like, hey, we got, like, you caused an incursion, you're destroying a universe, we got to go. And he's like, okay, cool, I'm in. And it's like, what? Like what? Yeah, again, the effects of the Darkhold are just so unclear, and it's kind of unfortunate that they don't really go into it at all, man. Like, I think that's arguably the biggest misstep in this film.
Yeah, exposition. The exposition city in this movie, but they didn't explain that.
And the only kind of point where you realize, oh, maybe this isn't Wanda fully doing this. Like, maybe she's still in there, like her old self's still in there, and she wants to get out and stop doing this. Is Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier goes inside her mind and sees Wanda in like this broken down house, and he like,
no, that was the Wanda who's being controlled.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, so it's just like, oh, Wanda, I'll get you out of here or whatever, and then other Wanda shows up and snaps his neck, which again, totally brutal. I was like, holy,
that was actually
like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that was very gruesome. But I would say also that was the unnecessary exposition I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, if I help you out of here, maybe we can get out of this. He's like, what? Why is that a line in this movie?
Yeah.
It's awful. It's not Patrick Stewart's fault at all, by the way. I want to make it clear. Patrick Stewart's legendary, and it's awesome that he was in this movie at all. But very unusual. Like, yeah, we get it. She should have been like, help, I'm trying to, she's controlling my mind. That's what she should have said. If you want to use exposition, then she should have said, she's controlling my mind. Then you, Adrian, wouldn't have been confused.
Yeah.
See? Like, why did he say what he said? It doesn't, you didn't know what the issue was there. I want to actually point out something else. So there's a moment where, so the movie starts off, it starts with a bang. They're in that situation with Ponytail Doctor Strange saving America Chavez, and then friggin' Doctor Strange kills America Chavez. He tries to, and he fails. And so it then flashes forward to everything, and they I don't know why I started with that. Actually, that was a poor starting, because that's not where my point was going at all. But that was a cool scene. I like that scene, and I like the way it started in a way. And I would actually, if I was to rewrite the beginning, I would probably maybe leave that in some aspect. But we glance past that. There's that concept of dreams, and dreams being literally your multiverse self. I feel like, honestly, they didn't really approach how to explain how that works very well. And it felt very explainy, to the point where I'm like, exposition that wasn't done very well. That's kind of what I felt like there too. It's like it's very complex, but maybe you can do it better. Because it's funny, because Everything Everywhere All at Once has a lot of exposition in it, but I barely notice it at all. So how did they do the complexities of Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is also a multiverse movie? How did they do it so well without making it feel like they were explaining every 5 seconds? Because I didn't feel like they were, but they are. Because there's a lot to explain throughout that film. And I feel like sometimes it felt like they weren't, their explanations were weird. So eventually, from that explanation to Doctor Strange from America Chavez, that specifically the dream was real, because that's how dreams work. Dreams are actually multiverse selves in previous universes, other universes, thinking about, basically you're just dreaming about what someone else is doing in your body in another universe, which is fine. Okay, sure. Then they flash to Elizabeth Olsen's character, and she's having a dream. She's having a dream with her kids. And this is the only real thing we get, this nugget of truth that we get from her character, how she's like dealing with this grief of losing her children that she created, which is cool. But I don't think they went far enough in that scene at all. And I feel like that's one of the biggest issues, is that they should have spent a lot of their exposition in that concept. They should have spent a lot of it just explaining what she's been going through again, because not everyone's watched WandaVision, and this is one of the biggest issues. And then explaining exactly what the Darkhold does, maybe have her use the Darkhold, but even then, forget that. The scene actually just cuts away, and it turns out that Doctor Strange, this is the scene that like bridges the gap between Doctor Strange kind of going there to talk to her, if I recall correctly, and I'm getting a little fuzzy. He goes there to talk, and he's like, this is almost like it's real, kind of knowing that she's created this spell that has made this entire field of nothing, these apple trees, which are not apple trees at all. But he says at one point, he figures out at one point that she's faking it, and I'm like, oh, she's lying. I know I might come off as a fool here, because you might disagree with me. Then Doctor Strange tries to convince her that, hey, you shouldn't kill a child. And then he leaves. He goes back to Cumberbatch, and he goes to talk to everyone, Wong and America Chavez and the rest of the team. And he's basically like, yeah, so she's not on her side. And then America Chavez says, oh, so you went to go get someone's help, and it turns out that the person you went to go get their help is actually trying to kill me. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, that's weird. There's another person trying to kill her. That literally went through my mind. And the reason why that happened is because I did not think for an instant that Wanda Maximoff had any power to have a squid monster travel through the multiverse, because we've never seen anything like that. And I thought, well, she's not really going to try to kill her because she's Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, why would she?
I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's impossible for me to do that. And then moments later, like not long after, like maybe a minute later, I'm like, oh, she's talking about the person controlling the squid monsters?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that.
Did you do that?
I did the exact same thing. And I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, am I fucking stupid? Like, I legitimately thought the same thing, man. Because, yeah, like when that's revealed, I was like, wait, what? Like, I was like, oh, like.
How did that pass the sniff test on the screen testing?
Yeah, it was very confusing because, yeah, like in what way? When did we ever, like Wanda Maximoff, she can do like telekinetic stuff, and it's shown to like that she can do like some pretty amazing things, but never.
Well, illusions too.
Illusions, yeah. But like never was there anything about her summoning demons from other multiverses to travel through the multiverse and kill things. And
that's because she's using the Darkhold.
But even after that point in particular, after they kill the weird squid eye thingy, no more demons show up in any of the other multiverses. She just starts dreamwalking. Am I wrong about that?
She just stops doing that because she decides that dreamwalking is better.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like
she can't dreamwalk.
Can you just do both? Where did we hear about these rules? I don't know. I just found it a little bit odd.
She doesn't need to. Clearly, she clearly didn't need to to have a squid monster. It was not unnecessary. Maybe the reason why she did that is because the squid monster was the only thing in that universe. Not every universe might have a Wanda Maximoff. And if it does, maybe it's a Wanda Maximoff without powers. And then what use is that?
Oh, that's a good point.
So it's like that's probably the question. So she can dreamwalk in certain situations, and it makes sense. But
well, real quick, since we're talking about, I guess, the start of the movie, I'm curious, like, how would you have rewritten the start? Because you mentioned on episode 97 that you had like a different beginning of the movie written out, how would you have changed it?
So the one I actually wrote initially, and I wrote this down real quick, and I didn't realize that the Darkhold is collected from Agatha Harkness. So I completely made a mistake. I didn't realize that she got it in WandaVision. I just forgot that. And so I looked it up. I'm like, it ruined my beginning. But the beginning that I thought of, and bear with me because I don't have this written down. So this is the one that I feel like is probably would have worked better, but it'd have to be tweaked because obviously she picks up the Darkhold from Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was in the vein of Rise of Skywalker, and we can change it to be she needs something for the Darkhold. Like the Darkhold's not working properly, so she needs a piece. So it's funny I said Rise of Skywalker because we hate Rise of Skywalker. But in Rise of Skywalker, the beginning of Rise of Skywalker is it's not really spoiling anything. Kylo Ren, it's literally the very beginning. This is how the movie starts. Kylo Ren is going on a mission to find a map. And there's this crazy action sequence, which is a good way to start a movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I like the way that the movie started, actually. I know you didn't love it, but I think that you start the movie theoretically with Wanda Maximoff going on this journey to find something she needs for the Darkhold to use it. So that scene we see at the end of WandaVision is actually after this scene. She's going on this journey. She hasn't used the Darkhold yet, and she's doing this. You can maybe even start it with her waking up in the morning. It actually starts with the vision of her children and Westview, and they show the bunch of things about Westview. She wakes up in the morning, and it's basically she's living a waking nightmare, as she describes. She's living this waking nightmare, and she's been searching for this damn piece for the Darkhold for a long time because she needs to get this to work so she can get her kids back. It's her only focus because no one seems to care about her, as I claimed, and no one seems to check up. But she decides then she goes on this mission like Kylo Ren, and she's not killing anyone because she doesn't have any intention to do that. She's capturing people. Specifically, they're showing a good Wanda. And the reason why that you start with Wanda is because this movie is more about Wanda Maximoff, or should be, than it is about Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No offense. It's kind of like Captain America Civil War is very much about Iron Man, like in a lot of ways. But a lot about the other characters. It's not really just about Captain America, even though it's called Captain America Civil War. It's not really Captain America Civil War. It's just Civil War. Mm-hmm. But so she's going on this mission. She gets to the spot. I don't know who's guarding it. I don't give a shit. It could be friggin' a version like Red Skull is guarding this piece of the Darkhold that she was missing the whole time. Mm-hmm. And she gets there, and this Red Skull, she fights all these minions or whatever that are guarding it, and she puts them into like cages or whatever. She captures them with her red magic, and she ends up getting to this last thing, and the guy's like, "Stop! You can't do anything to me. I'm just a protector of this thing, just like Red Skull was of the Soul Stone." And the guy explains to her, "Do you want to know why you shouldn't do this?" And he basically gives her a vision. Kind of, I was thinking more like in the lines of the Deathly Hallows as an example, or showing the cautionary tale of why you do not do this, and literally show what the Darkhold has done to somebody who's like an insurmountable wizard or sorcerer or witch in the past, and explaining like this is not a good idea. Like, let me tell you why. And this person gives her like a psychic vision of this terrible madness that the Darkhold creates. This is Doctor Strange in the Darkhold of Madness. I'm sorry, not Multiverse of Madness, as you explained on our podcast. Mm-hmm. There's not enough multiverse maybe to make it Multiverse of Madness, but the Darkhold certainly made her mad. And so the idea is this guy gives her this vision of this terrible effect that the Darkhold has. And then she sees this and she's like, I don't care. And then because she clearly wants her kids back. She literally just says, I don't care. And that's the shocking element. And she pushes this guy aside and she takes the Darkhold piece, whatever it may be. Anyway, she takes it. And the next shot is literally her setting up and she literally just meditating. And she just like opens her eyes. And then we can just cut to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness title screen, which they didn't do until the end, which I thought was very weird.
Yeah.
And so they basically show that. And then the next scene, because now that was a lull because it was a vision. You can then, after that lull, you can then go into the Doctor Strange and America Chavez, ponytail Doctor Strange running away from that beast. Movie can go from there. But you have this concept of, first of all, you show more in the vision sequence of her dream, of exactly what happened and why she cares about her children so deeply. You specifically in the dream also, you can make it more of a nightmare in that after she sees her kids, she's tucking them in like she is in the movie. You can then cut to this. It just suddenly switches. The dream becomes an actual nightmare. And you see her kill Vision like in Endgame. You show this sequence of events that shows why she is in so much pain. And then she wakes up suddenly in a jolt of like sweat because she's she's miserable, and she wakes up and she's like, this is my life. And she decides to go fix this problem. And the only way to fix it is this really powerful dark magic that she is shown will do what she knows will like ruin her.
Mm-hmm.
But she was willing to do it anyway. And there's no explanation of why she wanted to do that in this whole movie. And that's the 10 to 20 minutes that I feel like is missing, that I think would have fixed it.
Yeah.
I had another thing written too. There was a different version.
I quite like that, though.
But I feel like that's the way I would start it. Personally, I think that's the way you start it. And as a result, you create this emotional resonance and you give Elizabeth Olsen another avenue to really, flex those acting chops, because she's so good in WandaVision. But I just feel like,
well, yeah, man, it's funny because like we literally go to, so there's literally just 3 universes we go to for like a Multiverse of Madness movie. There is, our main universe. There's a universe with the Illuminati in it. And then there's the universe with the like an evil Doctor Strange that literally destroyed his universe because he used the dark hole.
Yeah.
You literally, like you mentioned, they could have shown, hey, this is what will happen. And then they showed that Doctor Strange and how he destroyed that universe. That is like, I guess, foreshadowing that, hey, we're going to end up here later in the movie. That could have been done. And I feel like it could have been done well. That's shocking. That's a really good, that would have been an amazing addition to an otherwise all right movie, genuinely. And I think
it started less with an action sequence, because it's just this, it's almost like an adventure film in the beginning, but it really starts with that vision. I feel like that actually sets the tone, because you see why she's doing this. It's just, you don't know why she's doing this. And it's like, I talked to somebody at work and they really liked the movie, and I didn't get to talk to them about why. And I suspect that this gentleman, he liked it because of the shock value, and shock value is just not enough for me. I don't care. I like the shock value, but it has to serve the plot. And I don't feel like it did enough that I was thinking this was good enough. Mm. And is this movie good? Again, I don't want to, this is sometimes happens in our closer look episodes when the movie's not perfect. We nitpick a little bit. I don't think we're nitpicking. I do think that this movie is good. I just think that it's a 7 out of 10 when it could have been a 9 out of 10.
Easily, yeah.
And it's like, or 6.5 out of 10. Like, it's just missing. It's missing like key ingredients of the MCU that make this, I don't know, make it tick. And it's weird. You might think, oh, well, why don't you just think of it on a standalone? You can't even think of it as a standalone. And I said this on the 97, it's crushed by its own weight. You kind of need to watch WandaVision to understand this. Like, why is she in so much pain? You can't even understand. Like, what did she do in Westview? God damn it. Like, well, I don't know. I didn't watch 9 episodes. It's the longest damn series. No other series that they've ever launched has been 9 episodes on Disney Plus. So it's like WandaVision is the longest series. We're expected to watch it. It's literally required reading for this course, as I've used as a term a couple times on our podcast. It's a required reading. If you don't watch that, you'll be confused. But honestly, you'll still be confused because you won't understand why she really did this. Because I can't imagine that there's got to be a lot of people that are thinking, why did she do this? It's so ridiculous. I thought about it after. I'm like, even at the end of the movie, I'm like, we got to the end and I'm like, well, that was a wild ride. That was really good. And then I thought about it and I'm like, but Wanda is dead. Like, that's not a fake Wanda. Like, that's not a Wanda from another multiverse. Like, which is what I thought actually when I saw her be evil in the trailer. I was like, I thought she's a multiverse Wanda, because Wanda's incredibly powerful. So you can have a very evil Wanda come from somewhere else and do this. They didn't even do like a bait and switch, like freaking Mad Eye Moody or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they didn't do that. They just completely made the Wanda that we know, the one who's a hero, who's gone through serious grief and has mental health issues because of the serious, crazy grief that she's gone through of losing her true love and losing her family and her brother, which is her family. We're just seeing this grief manifest itself as something really terrible. And it's like, man, that's why you should invest in, I don't know, mental health services in the United States. I don't know what else to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, damn, the Avengers need to get a freaking psychiatrist, I guess. Like,
well, yeah.
They have to deal with a lot of shit, man.
It's true.
Like, what the hell? You never thought of that? Anthony Stark? Steve Rogers? Come on, guys.
No, that's a good point. I mean, like, the only time we see someone in the MCU at like a self-help group is Steve Rogers in Endgame.
Yeah.
He's in that. Yeah, that's really the only time.
Yeah, but Steve Rogers has got the foresight to do that. And he's like the one doing he's like leading the self-help group, which is funny.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because
Actually, just on that vein, because I think you might change the subject, I'm going to briefly say that's actually something I meant to say, and I didn't put it as a note here, so I'm going to forget it. There's no leader of these teams anymore, and you can just tell by this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Rogers would have checked up on Wanda. Let's be honest, he would have. And there isn't anyone now that is literally leading it, and it feels like I actually kind of like this because it's a different kind of MCU than we've seen. And Steve Rogers is such a neat concept because I loved him as a character because of this. He literally represented everything that was good, and no one else is quite like that.
Mm-hmm.
No one. And I thought Benedict Cumberbatch's Strange would be a little bit more mature and kind of go out and help various members or whatever, but he's not. He's just this knowledge piece that's still very egotistical. There's no one that can lead the MCU. People said Tom Holland's Spider-Man. No, he's a child. He's an immature child. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He literally broke the freaking space-time continuum for a dumb reason, really. Like, there's no one. There is actually no one right now. And I'd hope that Anthony Mackie can take up the mantle and actually be that kind of mature, like, light that would actually check up on his team, etc. Sorry, I'm talking about actor Anthony Mackie playing the new Captain America, playing Sam Wilson. I'm talking about. But I don't know that that's true, and it makes the MCU very different right now.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry to go off so long, but that's kind of that was something I was thinking about too recently. I was like, wow, this is like we don't have a Tony Stark, and we don't have a Captain America, and I'm hoping that we can get somebody to be that kind of leader. I don't know who that would be, because Captain Marvel just like she just leaves. She's not a good leader. She sucks. She could be a good person, but she leaves every freaking 5 seconds. She doesn't care. She's like, oh, there's lots of planets in the universe that need my help.
There's bigger fish to fry, she says.
She literally said that, though.
Yeah.
There's lots of planets in the universe that need my help, just so you know. Like, because they're like, where were you? There's lots of... You remember that.
Yeah.
It's an Endgame. Anyways.
I do remember that.
Sorry, Adrian. You're saying something about Ken. Ken was saying something about...
Well, so Ken sent me a message, and he was talking about Moon Knight in particular, but how the season finale of Moon Knight came out on Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
And you brought up that, like Scarlet Witch.
So did
Wanda.
So did Doctor Strange. Yeah,
exactly. Like Wanda is severely suffering from like grief, like depression. You know what I mean? And I wonder if this was the main reason, or one of the reasons why Marvel decided, hey, let's push this movie back and let it come out this week. Because I know you originally thought, because I mean, to be fair, like as soon as you mentioned, I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Because with Hawkeye and how it kind of, there were some little connections between Hawkeye and Spider-Man, that it's definitely possible that they moved Doctor Strange back, because there might be some minor connections between Moon Knight and this, but there definitely is not. There's like literally zero connection. I feel like Moon Knight doesn't even reference literally anything.
Barely anything.
About the MCU. I don't think they even name drop a specific character or an event.
They were going to put 2 scenes in that were connected, but they opted not to.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, like... yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, like I agree with you. I feel like we tend to, on a closer look, we tend to focus on the negatives. And by the end of a closer look, a lot of the time when we're talking about a movie, we even did this for like The Boys season 2 as an example, where I'm like, maybe I didn't like this movie as much as I did. And I kind of, it's funny because I think this just kind of reassured my initial thoughts of this movie when I came out of it. And I was like, yeah, like I liked it. Like I thought it was all right.
I still like it.
Yeah.
I still like it. I do. I think you can. I don't know. It's not devastatingly
bad.
Yeah. It's not that devastating. It just makes me sad, and it's tragic. And I don't think it was treated like the tragedy that it was. And that's the tragedy of the way it was written. I feel like there's somebody missed the point. And it's funny because Michael Waldron did such a good job with the Loki series. Mm-hmm. And this is what my next point is, which I have written here, and I cannot miss this because we can't talk about this. Well, we can't talk about it outside the podcast because we don't talk outside this podcast. But we also can't talk about it on the podcast because it's a spoiler. And Michael Waldron wrote Loki, and Loki's not connected to this at all.
Yeah,
there's no connection,
which is shocking.
Barely at all. Other than the fact that the multiverse is connected, it makes sense it's actually not connected, though, when you think about it in a way, I guess. But I want to say something, Adrian. You did say Loki's definitely in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And you said that a couple times on the podcast, and I questioned you on it because I was like, where is that?
Well,
where's the article? And we did look it up, and the only one who said it was Collider, website Collider, which is fine. But I did have my doubts because there was no source that they had, and I didn't really believe it because I never saw it on Variety or Deadline or The Hollywood Reporter, which is where I get most of the news for the news stories. So I was like, I would have noticed that if that was a casting decision that they had cast Tom Hiddleston in this movie, and they hadn't. So either they maybe did and they cut out a scene because they did do reshoots, or they just never did because it isn't related at all, which is interesting. So
I will eat my humble pie, Simon.
You're not really wrong, but we did have an argument. I remember distinctly having an argument on the podcast, and I'm like, I don't think that was ever announced.
Yeah, you called me a bitch. Yeah, I remember.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
You called me a bitch. You said, you bitch, he is in it.
Probably. Probably, actually.
Here's the proof, and then you sent me the Collider article.
That sounds like something I would say.
But yeah, it's funny, actually. I've got a different written, I can send it to you later. I got a different written beginning for this movie.
I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Just give it to me. Just give it to me. I'm curious. Let's just go for it.
Okay, I'll actually just read it then verbatim.
And then
but I don't want to bore our audience. So you think it'll be boring? Did I bore you on the first one?
No, I actually quite like that first one. So yeah, let's finish off this closer look with your write-up verbatim.
Yeah, story time. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the other way I thought, but the reason why I don't like this one better is because I think I missed the point. So I wrote this one actually at like 2 a.m, and it still works, but I feel like it doesn't work as well. So this one is more on canon. So you don't have to fix the Darkhold. She's already got it. And so this is my story based on that. So the movie begins with the same ponytailed Strange dream, Doctor Strange dream. Strange wakes up only to see Wong, Benedict Wong's character, who's the Sorcerer Supreme, off. So he's going off on a journey. Wong is responding to a lead to find the incredibly dangerous Darkhold because this is an aside, this isn't written in my notes here, but the Darkhold is literally like an incredibly powerful book, and they're literally an agency that's in charge of fixing and making sure that there's not holes and problems with magical stuff. So how do they not know where the Darkhold is? That's like, what? So anyways, so Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, is responding to a lead to find the incredibly dangerous Darkhold. Doctor Strange stays in town to prepare for the wedding he's about to go to, and you can get that little scene there where he's like preparing. While traveling, Wong is with sorcerer companions, so other people from the Kamar-Taj, whom he is teaching about the serious dangers of the Darkhold through careful exposition. So he's explaining it. You can maybe do a flashback showing exactly what happened to a previous sorcerer, as I kind of said in the first version of this beginning.
Yeah.
And then perhaps a specific story, and then he goes through a specific story of a corrupted sorcerer that he once knew, because Wong is a very wise guy. He's like Beyonce. And so
I understood that reference.
So basically the idea is the gravitas of the Darkhold needs serious emphasizing, is what I wrote here. Cut to Strange going to the wedding, exactly as shown in the movie. And then you cut back to Wong's tracking investigation. Now he's in Westview, Adrian. He's in Westview when he comes upon suburban housewife Agatha Harkness, who had the Darkhold last. So basically, he doesn't just come upon her. She is manipulated into thinking she's a housewife, right? Mm-hmm. So seeing Catherine Hahn is meant to be a bit of a shocking reveal for the audience. So perhaps Wong knocks on the door. So they introduce him and the sorcerer is going into Westview. And they're in a suburban town. They're like, why would the Darkhold be here? They go and knock on the door of where they've tracked this thing to be. Catherine Hahn answers the door. Cut to, right? So Agatha answers the door and she's kind of confused. But then right after that shot, they cut to Christine's wedding again. The monster suddenly attacks New York to take America Chavez. Strange fights the monster like in the movie. Wong shows up to help, but also has news that he can't explain to, because that's why he was coming to New York. He's actually coming there to explain to Doctor Strange what he's discovered. Mm-hmm. And as they beat the monster and discover what happened to Chavez, because Chavez explains what happened with, ponytail Doctor Strange, etc., like in the movie, Wong also shares that Wanda has the Darkhold. And this is like a revealing conversation between Wong and Doctor Strange. And as he's explaining it, maybe you can go into a flashback where Agatha and Wong are having a conversation, because Wong basically refreshes her memory with magic to get her to remember what happened. And Agatha's a bit Catherine Hahn would have been a great addition to this movie. I think she's very awesome as an actor in general, and she would be very good. And so she would be kind of cackling and explaining that frickin' Wanda has gone off the deep end, and Wong is not initially, believing this. And in counterpart, Strange is not believing the story, so he's skeptical when Wong explains to him the story, and it doesn't believe that Wanda is descended into madness. And Wong reemphasizes the seductive power of the Darkhold, and Chavez connects Strange's dream to the multiverse, just like in the movie. The conversation then transitions to Wanda's dream, just like in the movie. She wakes up. Strange visits her cabin in the middle of nowhere suspiciously this time, instead of just be going there like as a gullible fool.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest goes on as the movie goes. That's my second attempt at the beginning.
Yeah, man, I quite like that. I actually kind of like the first one a little bit more, but I do like this one. Yeah,
me too, because I think the first one, the reason it's better is because I feel like I missed the point in this second one. The point of the reason that I wrote it is because of the fact that it was really hurt by the fact that Wanda was so mistreated, and it wasn't explaining how Wanda was corrupted. And I think you need to see a good Wanda start, and then you have to see her get corrupted. And you see the difference because you don't really see, because the way I described it, she is not corrupt. She has the vision. She's desperate to get her children back. She kidnaps these people. She puts these people, whatever, in cages or whatever, that are protecting the Darkhold, or the Darkhold's whatever instrument that she needs to get the Darkhold working. And then by the end of it, she's like, I don't care, because she doesn't understand the gravitas of what it does.
Yeah.
And then you see what it does, because you see her eyes are all whatever. Throughout the movie, she's got this dark makeup under her eyes. She looks like she's not slept in weeks, literally. And she looks like a wreck. And just to get that kind of concept, and you understand that she wasn't like this in the beginning of the movie, and you realize in the movie, honestly, it would have to change in other ways too. It would have to change in the fact that Doctor Strange should be trying to save her from herself in the manipulation and the seductive power, as what I wrote in this write-up, of the Darkhold, which needs to be explained because it's super important that you understand that the Darkhold is this incredibly powerful device that's just... like, it's like the writers of this movie read the freaking comic book and they're like, everyone knows what the Darkhold is. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, guys, you're the MCU. You have explained everything. God damn it. What If, by the way, I don't think was necessary. What do you think for this movie?
I agree with you. I was kind of shocked because, the Captain Carter we see in What If is obviously not the same Captain Carter from this movie. And evil Doctor Strange from What If was also not the evil Doctor Strange from this movie. So I think you were right about the What If thing, that What If just kind of opened viewers' minds to, hey, there's a bunch of different versions of these characters, but none of those characters are in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which is both... I mean, I guess it's both disappointing, but it also would be extra disappointing if they just killed off those characters like this, like they did in this movie.
You know what's cool? I actually too, like, this is a good thing about the movie too. Like, because I want to end this with some positivity here. Mm-hmm. So Doctor Strange, he is constantly in this concept, and I really appreciate this. This is a through line for the movie that I really like. Actually, he keeps asking this question: am I happy? People ask him, are you happy? Are you happy? And I just thought that was really neat. I thought that's almost like a mental health thing too, like a concept of mental health. But that's why it kind of feels like it misses the point a little bit, because Wanda's ignored, but because Wanda ain't happy.
Yeah. Doctor Strange, are you happy? Are you okay, man? Yeah. The person that literally just didn't get to marry the woman that he loved, while there's another person in this movie that, again, lost literally everything. Her reputation. Like, she's the reason why Civil War happened, man. Damn. Like, if we're going even that far back, she kills innocent people by accident, and that's why Civil War happens. Yeah. Like, she felt so bad. Yeah. And then it's just kind of like, you all right, bro? It's funny because I was going a different direction I was going to go positive, and you went way negative on that. Yeah. Good point though you make. But at the same time, so I like that through line a little bit. I did like it. And there's this concept of, are you happy? And there's this manipulation that they try. Everyone seems to try to manipulate him to go for Christine. Mm-hmm. And he never does. But you know who does? It happens in What If, right? So, like, that's the beauty of it, is it's this red herring that is so perfectly done, in my opinion, because they know that people have watched What If,
and they know what Doctor Strange has done in that. And they're so brilliant in that way that I really did appreciate. That's one of my favorite things about the movie is that this constant through line of they're almost like taunting you, like, is he going to become bad? Is he going to become bad? We don't know. He might do it. You think it, don't you, audience? Because you're like, is he going to go for it? Because literally Ponytail Doctor Strange literally kills the freaking Chavez like right away, which was shocking too.
Yeah, he's like, I'm willing to kill this girl.
Yeah, he's willing to kill her for the greater good. Even Wong is, which is crazy. Which Wong, who is pretty much been a white knight throughout the movie so far. I'm glad Wong didn't die, by the way. I thought Wong was going to die. That was actually some prediction I made early in the movie. I don't know if you did as well. I'm like, Wong's going to bite the bullet in this episode of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because like it seemed like there's got to be a sacrifice and it's going to be Wong, but it thankfully wasn't because I really like his character.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I didn't expect him to die, and I think that's specifically because of Shang-Chi. The end credit scene in Shang-Chi.
Right, yeah. He's important for that too.
Yeah, that was the main reason where I was like, he's fine. He's safe. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a good call out. Yeah, man. This is an interesting one. Like some of the imagery though, like again, I gotta reiterate, like it's so good. Like that staircase at the end.
Oh yeah.
Is going up to go see that dark Doctor Strange. And dark Doctor Strange doesn't seem that dark, although he's living in a very dark house.
Doctor Strange, Simon. Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah. The darkest timeline, Doctor Strange. He is quite interesting. Also, my girlfriend didn't love this, but there's a lot of throughout the movie, and I'm going to talk to you about the thing that she didn't like in a second, but there's a lot of these creative spells, and it's one of my favorite things about Doctor Strange throughout, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. The Endgame fight with Thanos, the Infinity War fight with Thanos with Doctor Strange was so brilliant, so amazing, and there's a lot of that in this too. And I love the wackiness. It's so good. Like even that scene where he's the zombie thing was so cool
dude.
as well.
Yeah, good
That's
call.
so amazing.
That was awesome.
It's so cool. And like the fact that the rules, that's what we talked about, like the rule, they maybe don't know the rules for Moon Knight. I don't know that they knew the rules for the Darkhold too, because like what's going on with the demons thing? I don't really quite understand that. And then Christine becomes a badass all of a sudden. It was okay, but I'm like, what? But do you know what the rules are? Because did that happen to Wanda as well? Like where's the line? Is that all that happened to Doctor Strange? Is he also manipulating the mind? Do they kill the demons that are in the Darkhold? What is happening with that? That's the thing. But
for that,
I did like that. The demons.
I assumed those demons came because he was possessing a dead body, not because of the Darkhold.
Yes.
I think that
he's breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, they'll do a lot of exposition, but they kind of did exposition here, but then it was kind of unclear.
Yeah.
So it's not the greatest, but I did like that the demons were there because he manipulated the demons, which I thought was really, really neat. And so there's some really cool, that was a really neat moment there. And even there's so many other creative spells that he used. And I love the creativity that he can do anything. Anything he thinks of, he can just do magically. And I think that that's so cool. The musical notes fight was exactly what my girlfriend did not like.
Dude, I loved it so much. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of this movie. I was like, this is fucking cool. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not a musician, but I feel like the musical notes that you saw on screen, it was literally what was the score playing out at that time.
Yeah, that's attention to detail that I'm sure they did do. Yeah. And it's great. It's just so like that whole fight was so fantastic. She's like, why would he do that? It seems silly, but no, actually, because like it's the unexpected that throws people off. And what he was trying to do is steal the Darkhold off his belt. And to do that, you do stuff that's unexpected. You throw notes like right at him, and then he's like, you're throwing musical notes at me? It's like, what is going on here? And it's the creativity that makes him so interesting. There's a lot of incredible fight scenes in this, like including the fight scene in which Wanda, like I like seeing Wanda wreck shit up in that she's so powerful and so cool that she's so powerful. Like she cuts freaking Captain Carter in half, man.
Yeah, with her own shield. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and then also like with the Captain Marvel, where it's like, I'm Captain Marvel, I'm the most powerful person, and she just wrecks her. And then drops a fucking statue on her and just crushes her. I was like, huh.
Yes.
I'm like, damn.
That was so cool too. It's great, but honestly, was like one of my favorite Avengers again. So it's like, okay, cool. But she's a bit overpowered, honestly. So I guess you get that out of the way. That's one advantage of doing this, is that you don't have to worry about dealing with her anymore, and that you don't have to worry about her being overpowered compared to, like, she was kind of wrecking Thanos a little bit in friggin' Endgame. So
Yeah,
Like,
but if you still have a character like Captain Marvel, then like
I know Captain Marvel's the most overpowered.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's like that's the biggest issue there. But I rather have Wanda because Wanda is more flawed. That's what's so cool. She's this flawed person, and that's what's so interesting is that you combine the two things, her powers, and she's never been fully in control of them. They kind of control her, and that's what makes it more interesting. It's what makes her a very interesting character. Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's it for her. So
it feels like her death is just kind of swept under the rug. It's like, oh, she's dead now, and
yeah, she was cool. We liked her when she was not murdering people, but she's gone now. That's it.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I hope they bring her back, but I don't know how you do it. It's like what I don't know. It's too bad.
Yeah. It's again, this is one of those things. Like after Captain Marvel, I question like, do they not realize the attention to detail that they've had the whole time? That's the thing I question after that movie. I'm like, I like this movie, but like the point I was making on the podcast, like episode 97 about Captain Marvel, was the eye patch.
Well, yeah,
like the reason why Nick Fury has a. Remember in Winter Soldier, he clearly explained or whatever that how he lost his eye, and then they changed the plot.
It's a plot hole.
And it's a plot hole, but honestly, at that point, I feel like I knew that, and I only watched those movies once. So it's like, how did I know this? And the guy who's in charge, Kevin Feige, I guess in this case, didn't realize it. And it's like a weird one, or even the other people. I'm sure there's other people who are like the map makers who are kind of drawing threads like Charlie Day to the various plot points in the MCU. I feel like, how did you not notice it? So I don't know. That's interesting. The last thing I'm going to say, I know I've said this like 3 times, but the last thing I'm going to say before we wrap this up, Xochitl Gomez, the actress who plays America Chavez, and America Chavez's character, in my opinion, was really cool. And honestly, somewhat the heart and soul of the movie in some way, in that she just seems like, actually, you mentioned this on the podcast. I think you did anyway, in episode 97 or something along the lines. You compared her character to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And I kind of would go back to that and say, kind of, yeah, in that she's an optimistic character, despite the fact that she's being chased by frickin' people who just constantly want to kill her, and she's lost her parents. So in the face of this evil person who's also lost everything, she has also literally lost everything. She's lost her homeworld, she's lost her parents, and she still somehow manages to stay optimistic, which is pretty cool. And so like that's kind of the thing I took from that, is that she was kind of a neat addition to the story. And I didn't get that from the trailers, which I really appreciate that they didn't spoil that aspect.
Yeah.
Although I would say they spoiled too much in the trailers for sure. But other than that, I really like that. I liked your character.
Oh, it's interesting. I almost feel the opposite about the trailers. I feel, to be fair, I stopped watching after, I think, the second trailer. We had the trailer that happened after Spider-Man, and then the second trailer that they released. I feel like I didn't really expect where this movie would go and kind of the surprises that would happen. But I do agree with you.
Yeah. No, they were careful.
Yeah.
I would say they were very strategic about the trailers, what they showed, at least in the second one. But I would say also, if you watch the other TV spots, they literally show that freaking Patrick Stewart is sitting in that 90s X-Men wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
They literally show the Captain America shield, man. Why?
Oh, no. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Awful.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That sucks. Yeah.
Dumb.
Thankfully,
Don't know why they did that. But anyways,
thankfully I didn't watch
I don't want to derail it about trailers because I talk too much about how trailers spoil too much.
But yeah, I do want to agree with you. I thought Xochitl Gomez is like America Chavez. I didn't really like her at first. I thought she was kind of thrust in, and I thought that Doctor Strange just cares about this kid way too quickly. And I think that's kind of where they could have also expanded the movie a bit and added more time between these two characters kind of getting to know each other and shooting the shit. But Doctor Strange is very much so just like, I need to save this kid's life. This is like, which is understandable. You don't want a kid to die, but I feel like they could have built up their relationship a little bit more. But I will admit, by the end of the movie, I really liked her. And I really like at the end, Doctor Strange is like leaving. He's about to go through that portal when they're at the where all the Doctor Stranges train, sorry. And she runs up to him.
The Doctor Strange's train.
Yeah.
Cumberbatch. Isn't that Cumberbatch?
It is Cumberbatch.
Is that how you pronounce that? I feel like
that seems right. And he's about to leave, and then she runs up. She's like, "Hey!" And he like looks back, and she's like, "What's up?" I thought, like, again, she's very like,
Aw.
she's cute, she's charming, and she really grew on me, and I'm excited to see more of her. I hope we see more of her. But yeah, like I'm curious. I'm curious what they're gonna do. Watching
the trailers though, because again I only watched the first two really, and then I kind of got glimpses of the TV spots afterwards. But I realized I didn't realize what the movie was about, and that's what's cool is that we didn't know that she was the focus. Like she's the reason why they're traveling through the multiverse of madness, and I think that that's kind of neat that they didn't reveal that part. Which is again, kudos to Disney, obviously showing off Patrick Stewart's wheelchair, Patrick Stewart at all, which I think was unnecessary, and like showing off, like you can say the Illuminati will see you now, but you don't have to show Patrick Stewart. That's not necessary, in my opinion. I don't think you need to show the shield at all. That's really stupid. But like, it's not necessary. You have like this great like moment to like have people cheer in the theater, and the cheers for Patrick Stewart would have been way more in our theater had they not explained it in the trailer. But they didn't explain very specifically that America Chavez is such a key character, and they chose exactly what they were showing in the trailer. As much as we say they spoiled too much, they know what they're doing. They're doing this as on a marketing perspective extremely specifically. It's not like they're just doing this willy-nilly. Even Shang-Chi, we talked about this for Wong being revealed, Abomination. We could talk about it for Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I think they revealed too much, but at the same time, they revealed exactly what they thought they were going to reveal because they wanted to show these key moments to get the maximum number of people buying tickets. And I can respect that this is a business, and so, okay, it's fine. But I do respect especially that they didn't show the main through line plot, which is to really save America Chavez. And it's cool because I thought she was just going to be a throwaway character that's thrown in the movie. Like we see like a glimpse of her in the first trailer, and you're like, who is that now? Like, do you really have the time to just introduce a new character? You're going through the multiverse. Aren't you just going to be introducing old ones? Like, really? I was like shocked that they were doing that. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. And I was really delightfully surprised. And that was a really good moment. That what's up moment I thought was really really nice.
Yeah, it was adorable.
Yeah.
And also to add on, I'm kind of surprised about the role Christine, like Rachel McAdams as Christine played in it as well.
Yeah.
That was
so good.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when she played such a big role, and I was happy that they brought her in. Yeah. I love Rachel McAdams.
Me too.
I think she's awesome.
She's so good.
And
she's so good. She's so good in this. Like I really respected that. It was cool. And like, it's awesome as well that they didn't get together at the end. I thought that was really cool. It wouldn't have made sense, honestly. And it was neat. They could have gone that way, but they chose not to. And he's like, I would like to show you my universe. I think that's what he says or something. And she's like, I'd like that too, but I can't. And I was like, oh, wow, pulling the heartstrings here.
Yeah.
That's like pretty cool. I don't know. I really like that. It's kind of heartbreaking in a way. It's like, are you happy? It's like, no, I'm not happy, but I'm still gonna, I think the line was, and that was a really good line too to Wong. It's like, it's crazy. You can save the entire world. That still doesn't make you happy. And it's like, again, it's a comment on mental health. I just don't think that I think it missed the mark on the main mental health issues, but it's I've said that like 3 times now, so I'm gonna stop talking about that. But yeah, Xochitl Gomez, Benedict Wong was amazing again. He's always like delightful to see on screen. Elizabeth Olsen did a great job in her role, even though again it was this weird plot that she was dancing through. But it's good. It's good stuff. Alas, Adrian, do you have anything else to mention about Captain Strange? Sorry, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's going to be stuff that comes up where I'm like, God damn, I wish I mentioned that. But yeah, like all in all, I think this is like a flawed movie. And although I think the vision, the cinematography, the use of music and score and how the movie looks and all the cool little Easter eggs to older Sam Raimi movies is very well done. And there's some great ideas in there. I think all in all, this is probably, I was going to say middling originally because I feel like it's kind of middle Marvel movie, but I would say it's definitely in the bottom half of my Marvel movie ranking if I were to really list it off.
Whoa.
Which is too bad.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
All right. That's fair. Yeah. I feel kind of similarly. I think I put it maybe higher than you do potentially if we actually looked at the overall list just based on the way you described that, but not hard to say. its unique take in terms of the style is the thing that really draws me in. And as much as we didn't get certain things explained, like what the Darkhold does, that is kind of what happened. So as much as we didn't get to see how Wanda got so corrupted, it can kind of be assumed in some aspects, but it doesn't make it an amazing movie because they didn't treat certain characters with respect. And Wanda's the main one there. So that's kind of the issue. But
yeah,
I did like it. I just don't love it, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough, my friend.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, that wraps this guy up. Thank you for listening, audience. Thank you, Adrian, for joining me, and goodbye.
Thank you for joining me, Simon, and goodbye. Take care, guys. Sleep tight.